everything shut down. So
It's effective December
So
1.
We can make good money.
You ready to rock and roll?
Oh, really? This is day 2, it's already bothering you.
Call this meeting to order, bro.
All right, call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Arnett.
Here.
Beck.
Here.
Berry.
Here.
Bowler.
Here.
Clark.
Yes.
Duchesne.
Here.
Duquesne.
Here.
Hoke. Hoke. One last time, Hoke. No. Hudson.
Here.
Kessel.
Here.
Coomer.
Here.
Madsen.
Here.
McCollum.
Here.
Platt.
Here.
Spangler.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Williams. I skipped over Metis. Metis, you on the call? Okay. Williams. And Wilner. Quorum present.
Okay, join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, sir. Do the invocation.
Father, thank you for everything you've given us. Look after the people of Ukraine and keep them safe. Look after the farmers during this planting season and keep them safe and out of harm's way. And look at those after the people who commute to work each day and keep them safe in their travels. Father, in your name, amen.
Amen. Okay. Acceptance of the minutes of the regular session, April 12th, 2022. Motion by McCollum,
I'll make a second.
motion by Barry. Any questions? Roll call.
Thompson.
Yes.
Arnett.
Yes.
Beck.
Yes.
Berry.
Yes.
Bowler.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Duquesne.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Kessel.
Yes.
Coomer.
Yes.
Manson.
Yes.
McCollum.
Yes.
Platt.
Yes.
Spangler.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Will you hang our adjustment on the speaker before it blows some of your eardrums out?
Just a little touch loud.
It is a little loud.
It's allowed.
It helps people on the phone though.
They could come.
If John Taylor was here, I wouldn't be able to do it for you. I wouldn't be able to accommodate you.
Okay, pressure tested.
How's that?
What'd you say?
What'd you say?
Can you hear me?
Perfect.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Okay. Additions or deletions to the agenda or approval. Under announcements and communications, I'm going to add H for Cole McDaniel, Spinner Partnership. And G is leadership program from UCCI. Oh, them's gone? Okay. I guess I gotta get to the program here. Okay, E, under announcements, communications, will be Comcast quarterly payment. And UCCI under F for the meeting reimbursement for $800. That stuff's on the table there, if you want to copy that. Now we'll move on. Anybody else? Okay. We're gonna get a motion in a second. Motion by Bowler, second by McCollum. Roll call.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Manson,
Yes.
McCollum,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Okay, under announcements, communications, correspondence, letter to Vistra. That was in your packet.
I need a correction on that. That's actually a letter to DCEO. Scrivener's error on there in the email that I sent to Cindy. It's a letter from DCEO from our Fulton County Vistra group regarding community grants that was in the energy legislation last year. So the grants will be coming available soon through that energy grant. And we have been, our group's been meeting. We've been meeting with Montgomery County and Mason County, and we've kind of got all the stakeholders on the same page so that we're all ready to go after that grant when it comes in. So I apologize for that Scrivener's error. It's actually to DCEO.
Okay, anybody have any questions? Okay, now we'll move back up to A, let's skip that. And the 2021 audit report, Jeff McPherson.
Yes,
All right.
yeah, this is Jeff McPherson, so I'll be happy to go through the audit report. I went through it at, with the finance committee at 5:45. So I'll give you a large overview, and then if anybody has any questions, be sure to ask. So, you know, we came in January, there were 4 of us, and did the audit. It went very well. We got great cooperation from all the office holders. The opinion that we're giving you is an unqualified opinion, which means that we think that the numbers are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. We're performing what's called a single audit, and due to the fact that you received and spent more than $750,000 in federal funds, then we have to do some special testing. And so you received roughly $3.5 million in spent of federal funds, and $2 million of that $3.5 million were spent in LIHEAP funds for the health department. That's where we do heating and assistance for low income. And so we have to go in and test some of the files, and we test 60 files to make sure that, hey, the person's eligible and that the person's getting the right payment. And there's a grid system that's used. And hey, if your income falls to this, you have 3 people living in the house, here's what your payment is. And so we tested that. We didn't have any errors on the testing of the 60 people that we tested. You received about, you know, according to the federal schedule, you received about $1 million worth of COVID funding during the year. And so all of that was extra funding that you're not used to getting. And so that was spent appropriately also. One of the big items during the year was that we expended an extra $1 million into the IRMRF fund. It had built up a reserve, so the board approved going ahead and spending an extra $1 million to IMRF to help lower the future contributions that you would have to make. And the other thing I'll bring up is on the very first page of the actual numbers, the statement of net position, under other post-retirement benefits liability, you have a $24 million liability, which actually then throws your general fund into a $16 million deficit. And that number is actuarially determined, and it represents what you would owe today to put aside to go ahead and pay for the health benefits of everyone that you planning on paying for the health benefits of retirees as they retire. And it's based upon, you know, your work staff age, what health care costs right now, people's longevity. And so those numbers are really subject to a lot of estimation. So those numbers can fluctuate quite dramatically. And actually, the number's about $3 million less than what it was last year. So it's come down. I suspect with rising interest rates, the liability will come down some more. So if you made me guess, I would say next year's number will be less than this year's number. And so we have one finding in the back of the audit report, and that's segregation of duties. There's some of the offices just don't have enough staff to be able to segregate the duties that would be ideal for perfect internal control. And so our recommendation is, hey, the board needs to take some oversight into what's happening and keep track of each office. And one of the things that we do is we go to every office and actually perform work. And, you know, I go out to the Clayburg and we test the Clayburg's receipts and disbursements and attendance. And actually, the census was down a couple percent out at the Clayburg, but you still ended up showing a profit. We go out to the campgrounds and test the revenue there. And the revenue there is not really questioned, because if you take what's available compared to what your revenue is, they're about the same number. So you don't have much vacancy out at the campground. So there's not a big concern that there's missing revenue. And then we spend quite a bit of time at the health department. You had a lot of new COVID funds that we had to test. And we also spend quite a bit of time at the highway department. And then we spend a great deal of time in Stacy and Patrick's office working on the county clerk and the treasurer's information. We actually look at every bank account that the county has, get the year-end bank account, make sure that the reconciliation's okay. We get confirmations from the banks that that's the amount that is being held by the county. So, you know, we go through quite a bit while we're there, but we got great cooperation and the audit went very well. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have questions? Lisa?
So my question would be is, after explaining the post-employment benefits, in comparison to other counties of our size, our number is very different than theirs. And could you tell me why ours is where it is and theirs isn't?
Sure, and we audit other counties, and so, you know, a lot of other counties don't offer that benefit. So, hey, we're going to pay for your health insurance for the rest of your life. A lot of other counties don't offer that. So, and I know the county pays 70% of the health insurance, and the retiree pays 30%. But still, if, you know, some of the other counties that we offer, they don't offer that benefit. So since they don't offer it, they don't have the large liability. And so that's why there's such a difference.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you, Jeff.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay. Okay. Moving on to C, resignation letter of Jim Mitchell. He resigned from the
Fulton County Board of Review.
wherever you. And so we'll have a replacement later in the board. 2018 through 21 IDOT TVP documentation review. We did that. That's on the table over there if anybody's wanting copies of that. That's Township Bridge, I think. Comcast quarterly payment is in your packet, $3,358.36. UCCI meeting reimbursement of $800. That's on the table there if anybody wants copies of that. UCCI leadership program. That's on the table too if anybody wants copies of it. And then what you call.
Mr. Chairman. Good evening, everybody. Did everybody get a copy of this?
Thank you.
Now, is that everybody? Need one more?
We'll share.
Oh, no, I have plenty.
Okay.
I'm killing a small tree today, so I'll give them to you. So this is going to be a little bit of just a guiding force for our conversation here. I want to put some things together, put it down on paper so we can visually see it. But first and foremost, I think the most important thing is thank you to the county board members for supporting this program. First of all, for the finance committee for approving it and taking it to the full board, and then for the full board unanimously approving that. The impact has been substantial. Business owners have been more than thrilled. Even business owners that weren't able to apply or did not apply for the program, I can still tell you are paying attention and think it's a wonderful thing that the county board did to support our business owners. So thank you to our elected officials, Stacy, Pat, Mindy in the clerk's office. Several people have been involved with this. Andrea, helping get this thing moved along. And there comes a point when this ends and I hand off all the information to the county. And this is one time I wasn't too worried about it. If I had to hand things back to the state, I could have told you it'd been 30 days or it might have been 30 months. So I appreciate Stacy and everybody here, the timeliness, getting these grant checks out. It wasn't one of those things where we were getting phone calls and business owners are wondering what's going on with the program or what are the results or anything else. It was streamlined and intentional that way, and we already have business owners with their checks and all those funds have been dispersed. I'm still waiting on a couple phone calls for people to confirm that they've received it, but most of the time once they've got it, calling me is probably the last thing on their mind. So I will keep everybody posted, but as far as I know, everybody has received it. So we can jump right into this. Stop me at any time. This is meant to be more informal and to answer questions too as we go through this. I'm happy to answer whatever I can. If it's not something I can answer or provide the data for tonight, I'm happy to bring that back or send it to you or whatever we need to do. So going to the first page, so the application window is February 14th to March 31st at 5 p.m. In that February board meeting, the county board, several folks had suggested maybe we extend that deadline. I'm glad we did that and added a couple more weeks. Originally it was going to be March 15th. We made it March 31st. There were a couple people that squeezed in that last couple week time frame. So glad we extended that, and checks still went out sooner than we were anticipating, and even if we would have closed it on the 15th. So good amount of time. There were 80 total applications, 63 total grant awards. I will tell you, before the additional $57,500 was approved, there were 54 grant awards, so we were able to fund an additional 9. And then below that, I wanted to lay out the 17 applications that weren't funded. And 8 of those have received grant funding, whether that was one program or 3 or 4 programs that had actually made their decrease in gross receipts not a loss of $2,500 or higher. That was part of the formula with how these grant awards were determined. 6 of them did not meet the program eligibility guidelines, various reasons. Maybe they had just opened in early 2022, or didn't actually have a loss in gross receipts at all. There were some situations like that occurred, but I still wanted them to submit them, review them, and let them know. And then 3 applications that were unfortunately deemed to be fraudulent. So don't ask me how that happens, but a little easier to track when we get 80 applications and it's Fulton County. I think these are from out of state and probably a lot of the same folks that are trying to apply for the state and federal programs that are getting away with gobs of money. But tax return numbers were identical. I'm not a person, I'm a financial person, so I won't use the word impossible, but as close as you can get is to being impossible to have a senior care living facility and a dog grooming business that have the exact same tax return numbers. So taking the appropriate steps, I did talk to State's Attorney Joe Combs, did file a report. These came out of Georgia, and the other one was out of Wisconsin, so what'll come of it, I'm not sure, but our bases are covered here, and they did not get paid. So attempt at fraud, but not actual fraud. They didn't get any money from it. But if you've seen anything in the news lately, you can see all the fraud that's been going on with all the other programs. And I imagine it's a lot harder to mitigate when you get 80,000 applications instead of 80. So wanted to be sure to point that out. I'll let you know if anything else comes of that. As of right now, I don't foresee anything else. Needless to say, they won't answer my calls or email me back now. So that following page is an industry breakdown, kind of where our touches were with who these grants went to: bar, restaurant, food service, retail, manufacturing, nonprofit, tourism was an important one, agriculture, health and fitness, and service. See that breakdown there. Grant awards by location. Wanted to try to plug them on the map so we could see the reach. Really tried to, we had it on the radio and in the papers, really tried to get out there as much as we could. I have taken Daytona 500 amount of laps around the county in the last 3 months, I think. So that's been fun. But one thing it has done is it's given me the opportunity to connect a lot of those folks that previously didn't even know about the partnership potentially, or didn't know that we were a resource, or it was free, or that the county helps fund us. Things like that have been some of those impacts from the program that you're not going to see on paper here, but they're going to be long lasting and very important from just being able to provide resource to businesses throughout the county. And that outreach has to continue, and big plans for that to continue and hopefully grow and be more of a resource to all of our communities throughout the county. And then the last page you have here, I pulled this chart from the annual report, and going back through it, added the numbers for the grants of the state and federal programs that have been awarded since that report came out. But I think this is probably the most important thing of this whole presentation. When you look at this, these are the different federal and state grant programs and the award amounts from those programs that have gone to Fulton County business owners since April of 2020. This program that the Fulton County Board approved in February has by far and away impacted our business owners more than any other state and federal program has since the beginning of the pandemic.
That's great.
That's an important metric.
Yeah,
So
it is.
thank you to all of you.
Well done, guys.
Thank you.
And it just shows what a difference it can make too, right? All the millions of dollars that have gone through the federal and state government through these programs and everything else. And really about 40% of all grant funds received were from the program that you guys approved. So I think that's a great thing and an important thing to pay attention to. I can tell you it's probably not the last time I'll bring it up. There's been several people that, now there's some other communities, and I think probably more so from some of the business owners, but pushing for programs like this. Had several other communities that are interested. Hey, can you do something like that? Would you be willing to share information? So now that we're wrapped up here, I'm of course more than happy to share with them. And glad there's some others entertaining it, but I want to let you guys know that you're on the forefront of that. There's not a lot of other counties, communities, villages, anything that are focusing on a program like this that's so forward thinking and so impactful for our local business owners. And I just greatly appreciate it. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions you guys have too. But definitely wanted to go through the data and some of the basics there. First.
Do you know how many applications you were had to turn away because there was a lack of funds?
Yeah, well, not because there was a lack of funds, and that's kind of what on page 2 there, at the bottom where it says 17 applications not funded.
Right.
That's where I wanted to break those down, because even if we would have had more funding, now it doesn't mean that someone that hadn't applied wouldn't have. But as far as everybody that did apply and we gave the opportunity to, we were able to fund all the
Okay,
ones that were eligible by the guidelines. So
That's good. I wasn't sure if there were applicants that weren't included in that 17 because we just didn't have the money, so I want to make sure.
no, we were good, and
Awesome.
I appreciate the additional 57,500. I know those business owners do too. So to not have to tell anybody that you're not getting funds because we ran out, it's a pretty incredible thing to be able to do. So I will. One last thing I want to say is, this for me was one of the most impactful things I've been able to be a part of in my career. So I want to again thank you for approving it, being able to help business owners, and that starts with you guys. If you don't approve the program, none of this exists anyway. So. Just thank you. It's been impactful, and there's been a lot of thank yous, a lot of people thanking the county board. I'm gonna get some testimonials put together, and as much as I don't want to toot my own horn, I want to make sure that you guys can see those testimonials and you guys can see what business owners are saying, because that's so important. You're their elected officials and you're making decisions, and they know you have their best interest in mind. I think that's very, very important. So this isn't the last recap of all this, but wanted to get you, now the checks have gone out and this thing's pretty well wrapped up, get you all the information as soon as I could. So,
Well, I just want to say that I'm glad the county board and the partnership was able to get together and get this done so smoothly. It was a really good deal.
I talked to some other counties about what they was doing with their Arpa funds, and the ones I talked to said that they wasn't going to pursue any program with helping small businesses or businesses in their county. And I was kind of disappointed in that, because I said, that's what we're doing here.
Right.
And what they want to know is why. I says, because maybe they didn't get enough help.
well, and I'll tell you, the top 20 on this list out of priority didn't receive any help at all. Payroll protection, provide any of the other programs. There was zero funding whatsoever, whether that be for didn't have the ability to apply, the technical knowledge, the timing, we didn't know about it, a million different things, but there were several that still hadn't received any funding from any programs.
You don't have to toot your own horn. You've done an exceptional job, and we're thankful that we had a partner that was able to do as much as you do, because we certainly can't.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
This doesn't end here.
Right.
It's not finish the grant program and we don't.
Oh, I know that.
Talk about anything else for a while. It's how can we work closer together? How can we be more of a resource to the entire county? And we've got some plans for that. These things take time, but we want to be a resource to all these communities, because if I'm being honest with you, it takes time spent in those communities to truly make a difference. Because you got to know what they need. All of our communities, even in the same county, are unique and different in a lot of different ways, and they need different things. So anyway, I hope the partnership continues, no pun intended, but between the county and us. I think it's a really good thing, and I think we're going to be able to grow that relationship and continue to do some really good things. So thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danny, do you have a question?
I had a question. I'll let him finish up first. Will there be a list or put out by the spread telling who got what, or?
I will provide that to the county board members.
Right.
And of course, it's public information. We want to be transparent with that. Where I would ask is that just, and John and I have talked about this too, it's not necessarily want to put that list in the paper, because there are some people that come in head hung low. I wish I didn't have to apply for this, but it's one of those things where you don't want to embarrass me. Yes, we'll have a list so you'll know exactly.
See,
Absolutely.
what businesses were affected or
Well,
not affected.
Absolutely.
I think any of this would be something that would be acceptable for publication.
Oh yeah, we're actually gonna work on that
Yeah.
release tomorrow. So we're gonna put something good together. I've got some things put together, and I think we'll be able to really showcase exactly the results of this program.
Okay, anybody else? All right, thanks, Cole.
Thank you guys, appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Cole. Thank you, Cole.
Good job, Mike.
Okay, proclamations, Fulton County Disaster Proclamation, we did this enough time.
I got to memorize if you want me to run through it again.
Anybody want to hear it?
No, motion to approve.
Motion by Thompson, second by McCullum. Roll call.
That was Thompson and McCollum, Mr.
Yep.
Chairman. Okay. Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yeah.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson.
Yeah.
Kessel.
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
McCollum,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, thank you. Next is action resolution for Tanya Holmes retirement from the Highway Department.
I will read this.
Yes. Can I get a motion? Motion by Coomer, second by Mattson. Okay.
Whereas Tanya Holmes, long time, I got an English accent. Longtime employee of the Fulton County Highway Department is retiring, and whereas Tanya Holmes has faithfully served the residents of Fulton County since September 5th, 2000, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize Tanya Holmes for her many years of service to Fulton County, now therefore be it resolved by the Fulton County Board that this board go on record in recognition of the work of Tanya Holmes during her many years as a valued employee of the Fulton County Highway Department, and be it further resolved that this resolution be recorded in the permanent files of the Fulton County Board.
Thank you. And I invited Tanya to come tonight, but she had grandkids and said she couldn't get away, so.
Roll call.
Yeah, call roll, please.
Barry,
Yes.
you wait your turn, Mr.
Yeah.
Beck.
I wasn't gonna comment on that. I just gonna let it go ahead.
Member Barry,
Yes, yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson.
Yeah.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
McCollum,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. One of you change your name. Okay, moving on to consent agenda. Motion by Bowler. Second by Kessel. Any discussion? Call roll.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson.
Yeah.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Madsen,
Yes.
McCollum,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you. Okay, action treasury report. Stacy.
Good evening, everyone. Going to start off with the financials for County General. For the month of April in revenue, we rocked it again this month. We had $1,475,126.23. Expenditures totaled $1,017,259.31. That gave us a surplus of $457,866.92. As of the first 5 months of the fiscal year, again, this is just county general fund. There's about 95 funds out there, but we tend to focus on county general because that's where we suffered a deficit for years. I'm happy to report we're at a surplus of $881,303.87. Could I predict if that's going to continue? No. If I had a crystal ball, I probably wouldn't be serving as Fulton County Treasurer. But we're just going to hope that we do continue to see that growth. What we budgeted in revenue, we have 47.45% that has come in. We would be at 42%. So we are above average in revenue coming in by 5%. Our expenditure year-to-date percentage use is 39.5, so we are under budget for expenditures. So, any questions on that happy county general report? None? Okay. One thing I want to remind you all that we are incorporating in the other department and elected officials' other bank accounts. That will be continued to be reflected on your CompuCash report under the other bank accounts. That particular figure is the prior month. So these are April financials, but it is for the month of March, just because based on a timing issue, when my office, we reconcile and balance as quickly as we can to get financials out as quickly as we can. Those other departments, they've got a lot of responsibility within their department, and that priority is not necessarily getting that statement to me. It's unnecessary to put that pressure in. The whole point is that you're seeing at a high level view what that total is. If you want granular detail, again, please reach out to that department. They know the ins and outs, but it is also in your other funds, which is that third attachment that I always send when I send out the financials. It's in here as well. Any question on CompuCash report or other funds? Okay. Keeping up with the good news, tax bills went out. That's not fun because people have to pay, but it is good news that tax bills went out. Again, I can't speak enough to the work of the assessment office and the clerk's office. In my over 6 years serving as county treasurer, this was the earliest the tax extension ever happened. So thank you for just getting it out there. There was the last 3 years the taxes were behind. Extension came to me later and later every year. That creates an issue because those taxing districts, you get used to getting money at a certain time. You get used to, from a budgetary standpoint, getting those distributions. And if I don't have the information, I can't bill, I can't collect, I can't distribute. So in terms of collections, again, tax bills are out. If any of your constituents have any questions that you're unable to answer, or you have questions yourself, please don't hesitate and call my office. We are more than happy to be a resource for anyone that has any questions. First installment due date is June 3rd. Second installment due date is September 2nd. First distribution will be sometime the end of this month. I just have been far too busy to be able to determine when we're going to get our first distribution. Any questions on beloved tax bills? None? Okay. Finally, a little bit about ARPA. The project and expenditure report I filed last month. I took a gamble because Treasury has had, what's a nice way to put it? They have had issues with their system crashing. When you have over 3,000 governmental units trying to get into a program and report, the last time things went bad. So I just stayed one night late and took a gamble and hoping that I could get everything filed. Fortunately, I was vetted in the right way, and I was able to get in and file our project and expenditure report with Treasury. The very next day, their system crashed. So there were a lot of colleagues and other governmental units all across the country that had some issues with that. So I'm just happy to report that we got ours filed, didn't have to ask for an extension, didn't have any hiccups, and so that late night and caffeine and carbs was beneficial. Last thing about a couple things with ARPA, the non-entitlement units have been reaching out to Patrick and I in terms of needing assistance. So a lot of your villages and towns and different things, they have needed help navigating through as well, just because it's very confusing with ARPA, with what you can do and what you can't do. So I've done what I can to address any questions, concerns, thoughts, and offer as much assistance as I can. We're in a different segment of the way ARPA is done because we're a local government and not a non-entitlement unit. But I just wanted you to know that Patrick and I are doing what we can, and I've taken a lot of calls and helped as many as I can with what knowledge I can find to help them. And last but not least, I requested, I think it was Wednesday of last week, I can't remember, it's been a blur, our second tranche for ARPA. So Treasury is stepping it out. You can't do a darn thing until you get the email. So I got the email and went in and requested our 3 million plus. It'll take about 30 days before we get that second tranche, but Fulton County received the email, jumped on it, and made that request. So once that second tranche is in the bank, I will send an email out just to let y'all know it's here. We have it.
Can you give me an example of a non-entitlement
Entitlement unit,
unit?
City of Farmington, Village of Smithfield, the different towns.
Oh,
So
so
you
it's just town?
Yes, so you have your towns and villages, and Treasury just labels them as non-entitlement units. Then you start getting into the category of your county governments, then you have your state government, so you have different tiers, and then you have your different categories, and then they tier it out based on population
Okay.
and different things.
That's
Fulton
fine. That's what I
County
thought
is
it
tier
was, but
5.
I wasn't sure. I thought, well,
Yeah, the city's within Fulton County.
okay.
So money's coming, y'all have a lot to go out the door, so thank goodness money is coming in. Any questions?
Bunch of small town NEU people over here.
Yeah. I'm trying to help. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, health. Laura?
So as far as health department, COVID numbers aren't looking horrible last I saw in the county, but people aren't getting tested in testing sites, so the numbers don't really tell the story anymore, like they used to. The health department is preparing for the potential for the vaccine to be approved for 5 and below, or below 5, whatever the cutoff is there. And at this point, the health department would be the only group, I think, in the county that's planning on giving those vaccinations. So they're planning for that. I think maybe it'll be later in May or June when they'll get that approval. As far as Clayburgh goes, we have had some COVID cases at Clayburgh since our last meeting, quite a few. Some residents and a lot of staff. So we had most of our nursing staff out all at once that all had it. So thanks to administration and those that didn't have it, that could step up and keep the place going and take care of the residents and isolate the residents the residents that need to be isolated. As far as I know, no one was really sick. It just the symptoms you hear about, the cold and all that kind of stuff, but they still have to follow protocol and isolate folks.
But she did mention that everything's they've got good results now. Everyone tested last Monday. That was staff.
Last Friday, everyone tested negative, but they still have 2 or 3 residents and 2 or 3 staff that have it. But those that did get tested last Friday were negative.
We're clear.
So
it's
I think
better.
we're over the worst of it, knock on wood, but it was pretty rough there for a little bit for them. Yes.
I'm pat him on the head. We've got a new dietary supervisor. I'm hearing very good things about him. And they say that he's good again. And then I have another strange, I had a person approach me about getting a job there. And I said, yeah, they're hiring, but there's a problem I'm getting some feedback on for childcare. Is that affecting Clayburgh? That, if you can't have someplace to put your kids, it makes it hard to work. Because they lost the one in Cuba. I hear Table Grove's having problems.
I haven't heard specifically that Tammy's mentioned that there's any issues with childcare with staff, but just generally I've heard that for years, and I think COVID made it worse because they had to limit numbers of kids and things like that. But Tammy hasn't mentioned it. I'm sure also shift work. I mean, that's going to be harder to find a place that's open in the evenings and weekends or nights.
Everybody does that.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's not an issue. I'm just saying I haven't heard it as a specific issue for potential Clayburgh employees. Tammy did say that the increase that we approved for staff has made a huge impact, and they've been able to hire quite a few CNAs, and things are much better from a staffing perspective when folks aren't out with COVID. So that they said that this last one really made the biggest difference. Yes.
Who's the DON?
I can't tell you the name of the DON. Our last DON resigned, and I can't tell you who. I don't know the answer to that. Stacy's looking it up. Yep.
Like she's looking at how many residents we got down there now.
Right now, I think we have 39. And I know that's low, but they also have to have room for isolation for COVID. So it's also been a good thing that we haven't been as high as we could be, because then they wouldn't have room to isolate folks. I think they said when they had so many folks in isolation, they had 4 or 5 referrals they had to turn away because they didn't have room because of the isolation. So it's kind of, yeah. Other questions?
Great. Please find his name, she'll let you know. Okay. Highway, Nestor.
Well, on County Highway 2, the guardrail project is started up again. That's north and south of County Highway 17. And again, I like to thank Tanya for her work, years of service at the Highway Department. And I wish her a happy retirement too. Another thing, since it's planting season, just to put a word out, watch for farm machinery on the roads and give them some room and respect, and keep alert out there while you're driving. That's all I have.
Okay. Any questions? All right, thanks. Public safety and campground. Mark.
We passed all the claims on the safety committee. And the campground passed all the claims, and he has 3 new sites, 41 on the waiting list, and 17 electric. And I need a motion, which I'll make the motion regarding the resolution of the courthouse cannon restoration.
Okay, second by Coomer. Okay, clerk will read the resolution.
Whereas the Fulton County Courthouse cannon and gun was in dire need of restoration, and whereas Hitchcock Scrap Iron and Metal performed the work, which consisted of sandblasting and painting the Fulton County Courthouse cannon and gun without accepting compensation for the restoration work. Now therefore be it resolved by the Fulton County Board that this board go on record in recognition and appreciation of the restoration work completed by Hitchcock Scrap Iron and Metal and employee Mike Cruzan, who performed the work done on the Fulton County Courthouse Cannon Community Project.
Okay. Okay. Danny?
I'd just like to say a couple things on, I made the suggestion in the meeting, even though we're sending a resolution, to send a thank you card also. For people on the board that doesn't realize that Mike Hitchcock has done some things in the past for us free of charge. If I remember correctly, he donated a crane for the bell tower when we worked on it. And those aren't cheap. And he's done some other small things free of charge for the county. And I think, we at least send him a card along with the resolution showing our appreciation. Because he could have charged us any one given time for any of that. He's donated a lot of time to the county and free of charge also. So
Wish I would have been thinking I should have got a thank you card and every one of us sign that.
We can probably do that next month. So.
Next week we can do that.
Yeah, so when the cannons look good, they're still don't have wheels on. Don't think we're going to get them for a little bit yet. I was hoping to have them back by Memorial Day. That's not going to happen. So I thought about trying to make some paper ones.
Please don't.
So, okay. Call the roll.
Clark.
Yes.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Duquesne.
Yes.
Hudson. Kessel.
Yes.
Coomer.
yes.
Madsen.
Yes.
McCollum.
Yes.
Platt.
Yes.
Spangler.
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Anything else? Okay, thanks.
Treasurer.
Nope.
Stacy looked up Sherry Miller is the DON at Clayburgh. She started just about 2 months ago.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot. All right, property and courts, Cindy, where you at? Oh, there, you moved.
So for property and courts, what we've been looking at is mainly how to use the money for the wisest for the courthouse that we've been granted with the ARPA money. We've already asked for the bid specs from Bill Phillips to get the ball under, get the ball rolling on this stuff. Talked about the bathrooms downstairs, we talked about, some of the tiling, we talked about, the bell tower, we've talked about, trying to think what else. What? Oh, the stairs, yes, the stairs. So, and then there's some cosmetic things that, just need a little bit of touching up around. But, we're just waiting now on the bids to come in so we can, and for some money to come in, so we can start running with it, but we're trying to get all our ducks in a row. That's all we're up to.
Okay. As far as the air conditioners go,
Yes,
I talked to, it's gonna be at the minimum 3 months, probably to get stuff. It could be a year.
Oh,
So-
Rod, did Rod change that? Because last time I talked to him, he commented that at least the company that he had bid with prior, they are still fairly close to being on time, where if we went with some of the other companies, then it could be a year. That's what he said the other day. So,
So I haven't talked to Rod, I just talked to Bill, and he said anywhere from 3 months to 15 months. Well, so even if we do get it, say in the next couple months, we're gonna be getting right in the middle of summer, and we're probably gonna have to hold off till fall to actually start it, to replace it. Because that air conditioner cools the courtrooms up here. I don't want to judge me. So, but we'll see what happens when we get bids.
and I asked for him to have the bids for the June meeting, so that's where we are.
Okay, any questions? Don?
A while back, we were discussing changing the lights to the LEDs. Whatever happened to that?
They're changed.
They're
A lot of them have.
All done.
LEDs?
Yeah.
Well,
Bill,
everyone can now.
Yeah, just do it a little bit at a time.
Yep.
Okay.
So, just
We got-
as you can do.
yeah, we got a whole truckload of them, and Bill's just been going around. That's his life anymore lately.
Is it difficult?
It's not real hard. I mean, he has to change the ballast in some of them, and he has a few that are difficult, but you need to plug them in.
Just help with the light bill.
Put them up over there in the board office, and Cindy already had to turn one of them off. It was too bright. She goes, here. So, okay, anybody else? All right, thanks. Okay, personnel legislative, Lisa.
Right, so on your agenda tonight is the coronavirus policy. Last time we worked on this was when there was vaccination testing policy that got squashed by the Supreme Court, and the state's attorney put a hold on it. So we went back and put the original policy in place, and that we had before that little debacle. So, this one tonight, though, we passed it at committee, although there was healthy debate about it. And, and some really good suggestions. And based on that, I would like to amend the policy that's in your packet. So, The amendment that I would like to make is you'll only keep item A and B. Everything else in the policy will be deleted. Item B basically says that we will follow COVID, the CDC guidelines for COVID, quarantine and isolation. And we're gonna leave it at that. So I will make a motion to amend this policy as stated.
Okay, motion by Thompson, second by McCollum. Is that who did that? Any questions? Call roll.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Duquesne.
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Kessel.
Yes.
Coomer.
Yes.
Madison.
Yes.
McCollum.
Yes.
Black.
Yes.
Spangler.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Arnett.
Yes.
Beck.
Yes.
Barry.
Yes.
Bowler.
Yes.
Clark.
Yes.
Motion carried.
That's it. Thank you. All right, finance and insurance. Mr. Spangler, you're up.
All right, first thing we have is, you see in your board packet is a resolution for setting the salary for the sheriff. I'll go ahead and move that we approve this resolution.
Motion by
Second.
Spangler, second by Beck.
All right, the legislature passed a law that we must pay our sheriff 80% of what the state's attorney makes. So we're pretty much stuck. We have to pay them that.
Yeah.
And that
You have a resolution?
I don't have one.
there's been some different opinions on whether that was changed every year or if it was set from the beginning, like what it is right now. And we think that changes with every year. So,
Let me read it.
can you read the whole?
Does everybody want to hear it?
I don't think we need to read it all. But the state is reimbursing, what is it, 60% of this?
66 and 2/3 will be paid by the state, and 33 and 1/3 will be paid by the county.
Right.
So
Is the salary jumping up
a lot.
a year?
It'll be
Well,
like 100.
It'll be approximately 146 to 147,000 right
Maybe
now.
it's good this year.
Better get your signs up.
Well, so it'll cost the county, I don't know what, about 50, somewhere in that? Okay. Instead of the 95, I think we're paying now.
So it'll
But
actually
it's
cost
still,
us
it's
less.
still all taxpayer money. I mean, it's not like it's free money, but it doesn't come out of our pockets. And as far as I see, we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Just what they said we
They
have.
made it law, so.
Put it in here.
Yeah.
So what is our share?
Okay.
She just said about 50,000.
50,000?
She did, yeah.
I didn't hear her say.
I'll just shoot.
I am available to comment if you want me to.
Does anybody want to hear?
This is Justin.
Anybody want to
Like
hear?
a ninja.
All right.
I have one question.
Go ahead.
You should tell everyone when this starts, when that pay increase takes effect.
The month.
December.
December 1.
It's gonna be December 1 or January 1?
December 1.
Okay,
Our fiscal year.
So
that gives us a little time.
right now at the current salary, or for the state's attorney, it would cost us about 49,000. What would be our third?
Okay.
It's my understanding that the Department of Revenue will start paying that portion to the county July 1st. However, the county will not have to pay the sheriff's salary until December 1st.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Call roll.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson, Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
McCollum,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, moving on, salary for county clerk. You can see the next resolution there in your packet. I'll move we accept this resolution.
Motion by Steiner, second by McCullum. Any discussion?
You can see what the salaries will be for the next 4 years. I would say the finance committee spent a lot of time on this.
I didn't.
And I've done a lot of looking at other counties and comparing salaries. And we think this is very fair.
Is it this?
One thing you also see there towards the end, we're going to take some ARPA money to help pay for the extra work that the clerk, and then there will be some for the treasurer as well, for the extra work they are doing and have, for that they will be doing for the ARPA funds.
Okay, questions? Danny?
Just got a question to clarify something. Last month, I believe Sheriff Standard said it was illegal to give a bonus to an elected official.
It's not a bonus.
It's not a bonus.
Stipend.
He said you couldn't do it in the middle of a term.
So we're giving them a stipend on top of the $6,500 stipend that they're already getting from the state. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's a double.
This is salary for extra work that they're not being paid
This
for.
is,
It's for all the ARPA work.
This is not being
That's
paid
the only
for.
way they can get reimbursed for
Contract
that.
work for ARPA.
From the county.
And it's for the first, it'll be for the first 3 years of the contract. And not the last, because we'll be over it again. So we have to last. Donna?
Well, that was with this ARPA money going for what?
Well, it will.
This is-
The
this is
wheel's
only for
4th
3
year.
years that we're
That's
doing
why it's
it.
only for 3 years and not 4.
that's like, they're gonna be working on this for the next 3 years, so that's why we put that into their salary for the next 3 years. And it's gone the 4th year. It doesn't, we don't pay them the 4th year.
Anybody else?
Just had one more
Any?
question on that. Excuse me. On the ARPA funds that they're working on, they would be working on those ARPA funds regardless if that ARPA money wasn't there. Is that not correct?
No, if it wasn't there, they wouldn't be working on it.
I mean, the COVID money, the ARPA funds would be.
It's a whole nother layer on top of everything they already do.
Right. But I mean, regardless, they'd be working on that regardless as their position requires anyway.
Somebody would.
Whether it was an administrator or that department or whatever.
Yeah, someone would have to.
So,
The reason for it is a lot of times they stay late to do it because they can't do it during regular business hours.
I understand that.
Anybody else? Donna? you-
Generally people in the private sector, your salary doesn't make any difference how many hours you work. And so, I'm a little bit conflicted. And is stipend and bonus the same thing?
No.
Still
No,
taxpayer
they're different.
money.
That was not in their job description when they took the job. This was an additional duty added onto that job, onto their job. So we decided that based on an hourly time, Lisa went through this, did a lot of work, figuring out how many hours a year they worked and calculated it based on an hourly pay to give them that much raise during that time period.
All right, hey, Lisa?
Well, my take on it is there, $6.6 million more funds in reporting and managing, and that's like half the general fund. So it is a considerable extra amount of work.
My feelings is if Stacy and Patrick didn't work on this, we'd have to hire somebody to do it. No, we didn't.
Yeah, they hired them.
Well,
Well,
Tower
no,
was an
but they're just a
advisor.
consultant, they're not.
Yeah,
They don't do
They
that,
don't really-
they just advise us.
they're not doing any administrative.
All right, okay. Yes, sir?
Well, Stacy and Patrick and the finance committee, they did an outstanding job. Look at how they managed that and got all this money out for spread and dividing this money up. It took a lot of time, and just sit back and you watch. They put a lot of hours in this, extra meetings, and my opinion is that they deserve that extra little bit of siphon they get, because they're putting in more, they're taking away from their family life to be here to do this work. And it's not regular work that
It's
they're
not in
doing.
their job description.
So I think they deserve every penny they get.
This is just setting the salary.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right, call roll.
Forgot we had a first and a second. Hudson,
No.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
McCollum,
Yes.
Black,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right, moving on, treasurer. I'll move we accept the resolution for the treasurer's salary for the next 4 years.
Mr. Stanger, second by Beck. Any discussion?
You can see how her salary, different amounts for the next 4 years. And then the stipend that we came up with based on a lot of hours, extra hours that she puts in for ARPA work it's $5,700. And that will be paid for the next 3 years.
Danny?
Just a question on the salaries, on year number 4 for the county clerk and treasurer, they're the same number. How do you come up with that?
We're trying to get our elected officials kind of to an even, and it's hard. We spend a lot of time on this debating, and we really, you have to, I don't know, it's not always fair necessarily, but you have to pay for the job, what this job is worth. And so, I mean, in 4 years, there could be someone completely new come in, run for election, and that's, the salary is gonna be what we set.
Right.
So, as I say, we purposely are trying to get the elected officials kind of to the same level for each of these jobs.
No disrespect to Patrick or Stacy, either one, but one's got, I assume they're both gonna be unopposed in the elections. One's got 2 years more than the other.
We know.
And, I'm just curious how you came up with that number. I mean, I know
Well, and like,
Patrick was appointed at 2 years and he had to run for a 4-year term.
and it was strange, because I mean, when Patrick took over,
I wasn't appointed.
She wasn't
Jim's-
appointed.
he
Doesn't
ran,
belong
he was
here.
not appointed. You know, Jim's salary was like $82,000, and then took a big dip here a few years ago, or was it this year?
Last year.
Just this past year. And,
Oh, I stayed correct. He ran.
So- as I said, we debated this a lot. And this is what we came up with.
Donna?
How many years did Jim have that job? 10 or 20, was it?
What, 16, I think, something like that.
Do you want me to answer?
Sure.
The clerk's salary in 2018 went from 77,913 to 80,252. It was 80,252 for 4 years. The way you did the resolution 4 years ago with Jim, he had planned on retiring that 3rd year. So that the new person coming in at that time, Jim said, and again, this is just what the discussion was, that it wasn't fair for somebody to come in making 15,000 more than me when I would have those years in seniority. So that was lowered. There's been about 80,000 difference in what the clerk's made since I've made since appointed. But what the finance committee looked at was narrowing that gap and making it equal to where the clerk and the treasurer, by the end of Pat's and I's 4-year term, we will be making the same.
The question was how many.
Question was, how long was Nelson County Clerk?
Oh, Nelson County Clerk, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you asked how long he had the 80,000 salary.
Oh,
He came in
2006?
About 14 years,
2006 or
Donna.
7, he was 14,
6.
he was 14, almost 15 years. I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question.
I don't think you can compare someone who's been on the job that long as to someone who just came in. You have a learning curve, and that's not an easy job, so I imagine the learning curve is kind of bumpy.
We're not comparing Jim to.
And then to have, try to balance them, it's not gonna work if people, retire, they, you know, they don't do this all at the same time. This is why they're not the same now.
We know.
Is Vicky retired at one point, Jim retired at another point. So trying to make them even, just maybe starting out. But see, you can't get them even because their seniority is different, not seniority, but their time on the job is different. And
But then there was like some
Well,
things that
every
happened
4
in the
years.
past that, with like Vicky's salary, they basically did not give her any raises, and then Stacy took over, so she didn't get any raises for years.
yes, that's
Well,
true,
like,
that happens.
I think you look at other counties there, don't all of them pay their treasurer and their clerk?
Most of them were the same, yes.
Most of them are the same.
It varies.
It varies. Most of
Comparing
them.
us to another county is not necessarily.
Well, I made that comment too, you know, I says, I'm not worried about what other counties do, I'm just worried about what Fulton County does.
I mean, we don't
Still.
have what McDonough County has.
All right.
Just in 10 counties that were about like that. We have to base it on something. We can't just throw a number out there. And as far as, these are great people. We've got 2 incredible people right now on the jobs. The jobs themselves pay a certain amount of money. And any job you go into anywhere, they pay you a certain amount of money for that job. And I don't care, you can look at union plumbers, should be a new union plumber journeyman or a 30-year union journeyman plumber, you get union wage, that's what you get that out. A lot of jobs are like that, a lot of salaries are the same, you just put a value on the job, not on the person. And so
Okay.
it's really fair.
Lisa, did you have something you want to say?
I was kind of gonna say a lot of what he did, but we did study 10 other counties of similar population. And
Poverty level?
the thing, yeah, well, yeah. The thing is, you know, if Patrick was hit by a bus tomorrow,
Be one messed up. Gee, a rough day for that bus, I'll tell you that. Blinded by the glare.
The thing is the county clerk's job still has to get done.
Yes.
And whether they're, really qualified when they first start out, I mean, I'm sure there's extra hours, extra work in order to get up to speed. The fact of the matter is, that job still has to be done. And other counties also took, all but like one of them paid all of their elected officials the same amount of money. They're all on one scale. They all have a job to do. They have to have all those pieces of the puzzle for the county to work.
Okay,
I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think it's.
all right. Anybody else?
I just like the way the finance committee set a salary for the elected officials and par, and I think it sounds like a good way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Call roll.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
McCollum,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next,
All right, now I move that we accept the 2021 audit.
second by yes, yes, sir. That's it. Any questions? Call roll.
Coomer,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
McCollum.
Yeah.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson.
Yes.
Kessel.
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, now I move that we accept the circuit clerk audit.
I'll second.
Second by Beck. Any questions? Call roll.
Mattson,
Yes.
McCollum, Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson.
Yeah.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, the last thing we have is ARPA funds. Zoning department has asked for a water. That's correct.
5391. 55,391.
Okay. I want to show you the right. And we recommend going ahead and adding that to the list of things to use ARPA money for.
And it's not on here, but we also discussed that the zoning officer should charge the same thing for private copies as what the assessor charges, so that we're not competing for having conflicting charges for having
Okay.
copies made.
John, you make that motion?
Yes.
Second by Coomer. Any questions? Call roll.
McCollum,
Yes.
Platt,
Yes.
Spangler,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Arnett,
Yes.
Beck,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Bowler,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Duchesne,
Yes.
Duquesne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Kessel,
Yes.
Coomer,
Yes.
and Mattson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, community development, Bowles.
Nothing for board action.
All right. No executive session.
One thing before we, if I could,
No.
No, we're not. We're not. Anybody else?
early voting begins May 19th in the office of the county clerk for the June 28th primary, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Schedules are on the door. No, I don't wear handwriting. That came from like 4 generations ago.
Okay, anybody got anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Get your motion,
Need
let's
a
roll.
motion to adjourn. Motion by Duchesne, second by Arnett. Call roll.
Black. Spangler.
Yes.
Thompson. Arnett. Beck. Barry. Bowler. Clark.
Yes.
Duquesne.
Yes.
Hudson. Kessel. Coomer.
Yeah.
Mattson.
Yes.
McCollum.
You should have said yes.
I need to hear an answer, sir.
Yeah.
You're adjourned.
All right. Everybody be safe. Have a good month.
That's always me working on the
John? Good. Good enough to eat yesterday? Man, I was there being the last one. They were-
Where'd you get good food at?
We went to the Legion breakfast.
Oh, did ya?
Yeah, very good.
They do a real good job.
That's awesome.
They do a good job. I've eaten there before. I didn't know they started there. Yeah.
They talk about the power stations closing all the time. Can you just talk about like the process and who was involved in the group and just basic, like what you guys did and what the resolution was? And then
They'll have something. I gotta leave this here.
I couldn't find the exact.
oh, that was just not enough.
Oh, I'm gonna keep it
No.
in my bag.
I need to make sure that I don't got anything.
Oh, yes, that was. I'm gonna print these in the morning when I get home, so it's easy to send. And I'll talk to the ladies.
Very much.
Hey, Roger. No, but I mean, no worries with me. Roger, how's this look? I'm doing work while we're.
We got you on there, star of the show.
Yeah.
Is that good?